Hello everyone, welcome to Chemizon Complete Chemistry. So in our today's video, we are going to study the concept of optical activity. That is, we will find out how to experimentally determine whether a compound is optically active or inactive. So if I give you the structure of the compound, then it is very simple to find out whether a compound is optically active or not with the help of elements of symmetry. But if the structure is not given, then it is really impossible to theoretically find out whether a compound is optically active or not. So we can experimentally find out whether a compound is optically active or inactive with the help of this instrument that you can see here, that is nothing but called as polarimeter. So let us first try to understand the brief history of how optical activity was discovered. So it was in 1811, first in 1811, that this scientist named Francois Arago came across the concept of optical activity while he was studying quartz crystals. These are nothing but quartz crystals. And later on, it was this scientist, that is Jean-Baptiste Biot, in 1815. He also came across optical activity while studying this molecule which is called as tartaric acid. We will be studying this molecule, that is tartaric acid, in much more detail when we study meso compounds. And later on, this scientist named Louis Pasteur had its great contribution in giving us the concept of resolution. What exactly is resolution, we will see in a minute. So this is nothing but the basic diagram of a polarimeter. So let us first try to understand what are the different components of a polarimeter. So here you can see there is a light source which gives out the light beam, which vibrates in all directions, as you can see here. So what we do is we make use of a polarizer which has slits in one fixed direction, which has nothing but called as slits or openings in one fixed direction. So this polarizer will allow only those wavelengths which are nothing but vertical in direction like this, and it will not allow in all other wavelengths of light. So that is why this is called as polarizer, and the light which is coming out of the polarizer is called as polarized light. What is the meaning of polarized light? Polarized light means light which is vibrating in one direction. Light which is vibrating in one direction. As you can see here, it was vertical. And next comes this sample tube. Sample tube will be containing the compound that we have to find out whether it is optically active or not. So if the sample is optically active, you can see here the direction of the polarized light, which was vertical, is changing its direction, and then it is detected by this analyzer. So initially the direction was vertical, and then the direction became horizontal. So this change in the angle of the polarized light, that is alpha, is nothing but called as specific rotation. Specific rotation. So this is nothing but the basic components of a polarimeter. So this is the image of the normal electromagnetic wave, which has an electric field vector and there is a magnetic field vector. Both these vectors are perpendicular to each other, and the result of this vector is nothing but the direction of the light beam. That is, light beam is traveling perpendicular to both these vectors, that is electric field vector and the magnetic field vector. So this is nothing but the diagram of a normal electromagnetic wave or radiation. So here in this animation, you can see it is much more clear how we can see that light is vibrating in all the different directions, or it is vibrating in different planes. So this is nothing but the basic diagram. As you can see here, this is the non-polarized wave or unpolarized wave, which has light vibrating in multiple directions. And by making use of Polaroid or polarizer, we are forcing it to vibrate in one single direction or one single plane. That is nothing but called as polarized wave. And finally whether the compound is optically active or not is detected by this analyzer. So let us now try to understand again the working of this polarimeter. So this is the light source which has wavelength in multiple direction. Then we make use of a polarizer which is fixed, and it has particular slits which will allow the light to vibrate in only one single direction, and that light is nothing but called as polarized light, which then passes through a polarimeter sample cell. And if the compound is optically active or not, here you can see there are markings of the angles that you can see, and this analyzer will rotate based on the rotation done by any optical active substance, and then we can measure this angle of rotation. So actually how we do that? So initially you can see this is nothing but the polarizer, and this is the analyzer. So without the sample, if we keep both of them parallel to each other, as you can see here, if both of them are parallel, then the polarized light can easily pass through the analyzer, and there is no optically active substance present. That is, polarized light can easily pass through the analyzer. Now let us see what will happen if both polarizer and analyzer are perpendicular to each other. So if they are perpendicular to each other, which indicates that there is no optically active substance is present. And if they are perpendicular, then the polarized light cannot pass through the analyzer. But if the analyzer is at an angle to the polarizer and not completely perpendicular, you can see that the optical active substance has rotated this. Initially it was vertical, and if you see from this observer's perspective, it has changed to the left. That is, initially it was vertical, then it has changed to the left, and this angle is nothing but called as optical rotation. Now let us try to understand in a much better manner this concept of whether it will rotate the plane polarized light to the left or right. So this is, let's say, the direction of the polarized light. So if this polarized light is rotated to the right like this, then such substances which rotate the plane polarized light to the right or the direction or in the right direction, then it is called as dextrorotatory substances. It is denoted by small d or plus. And if this plane polarized light is rotated to the left, then that particular substance is called as levorotatory. it is denoted by small l or negative sign. So now the question is, what will happen if the two enantiomers, that is let's say R and S, both are present in 50%, that is R is also 50% and S enantiomer is also 50%. When the enantiomers are in equal proportion, then a mixture is formed that is nothing but called as racemic mixture. And this racemic mixture will be optically inactive. Since there are two different isomers, a mixture of two different isomers, this concept is called as external compensation. So what is the meaning of this? Is, so suppose one enantiomer rotates the plane polarized light to the right, or it is dextrorotatory, then the other enantiomer will rotate the plane polarized light to the left in equal direction. So suppose if one is rotating the plane polarized light by, let's say, 30 degrees, another will rotate the plane polarized light in minus 30. So the overall result will be that it is optically inactive. So this is nothing but called as external compensation. Whereas we will see in the next video, that is the meso compounds, there is the presence of internal compensation. So we will see that later on. And now let us try to understand one more important concept, that is, suppose out of the total 100%, 60% of it is nothing but racemic mixture. Racemic mixture means there will be 30% of one enantiomer, let's say R, and there will be 30% of another enantiomer, that is S, and remaining 40%, as you can see, this is nothing but enantiomeric mixture, and the rest 40% will be pure isomer. One particular enantiomer, let's say 40% is R. So this excess 40% apart from the enantiomer is nothing but called as enantiomeric excess. Okay, so now let us try to understand how do we actually calculate the specific rotation. So this specific rotation is denoted by a square bracket. Within that square bracket, that there is this alpha, and this specific rotation is measured at particular wavelength, fixed wavelength, and temperature. So, and this specific rotation is nothing but equal to alpha, that is nothing but the observed rotation. That is, we saw just now whether the optical, that is the plane polarized light will be rotated by a certain angle, that is nothing but this value of alpha. And then L is nothing but the length of the sample tube. It was nothing but the polarimeter sample tube which contained our sample. And C is the concentration. So the unit of length of the sample tube is nothing but dm. Dm is nothing but decimeter. And C is nothing but the concentration of that particular sample, which will be in grams per ml. And now let us try to understand. So we saw this just now, that out of the total 100% there can be a percentage of enantiomers, and if the percentage of R and S enantiomer is equal, equal means it can be 20% R and 20% S. It can also be 30% R and 30% S. It can be any composition, but the condition is that they should be equal. If the proportion is equal, then that particular mixture is called as racemic mixture. And there will be some excess, as we saw just now. It is nothing but called as enantiomeric excess. Here again you can see it is 50% R and 50% S. And this is nothing but the enantiomeric excess, which is also denoted by EE. So now let us try to understand the formula to find out the enantiomeric excess. EE is what? EE is nothing but enantiomeric excess. So it is nothing but the optical rotation of the mixture divided by optical rotation of the pure enantiomer into 100. So here we come to the end of today's video. In the next video, we will solve many previous year questions that are asked in IIT JAM exam and GATE and CSIR NET exam. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.